Okay, back on the 4.3 liter Mercruiser boat engine. This is going to be part 2. There probably will be a part 3. Today's goal is to get this. I was such in a hurry to get out of here last time that I just kind of set the engine down on the stand without mounting it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to get this up, get the strap off, pull this back housing cover off here so that way I can mount my stand up. That way I can have the engine up on a, like a rotisserie. Get this thing tore apart. I want to get down to and get the heads off today. That's going to be my goal. That way I can take a look and inspect and see if I've got any damage, cracked heads. Sometimes like in between the valves it likes to crack, and if that's the case then we got to go a different route and see if we can find heads for it, or see if he just wants to replace it all together. So that's going to be the goal today. Let me get this up, get it mounted, and we'll go from there. Oh yeah. Ooh-wee. All right, got the valve train disassembled here. Got everything on the cardboard and labeled for the cylinder, exhaust and intake, and everything like that. The next step for me now is to go ahead and get the heads off of here and get them inspected. I still got looks like a bracket or something to pull off there, but. All right, well, I thought I was going to be able to reuse this motor. However, after cleaning it up some more, I've noticed some really bad cracks on the inside of the valley here, just outside the cylinders. You guys can see that, right? All the rust around it. Yep, this block is done. Cannot use this block. So, may have to source a new one. We got an engine. Rebuilt in the USA apparently, as you can see by that sticker. That's a boat anchor. This is its replacement. This is a rebuilt engine from Marine Engines for Less. I think this was approximately 3,000 plus change after shipping and everything. This comes with the block, comes with the heads already installed, push rods, rocker arms, basically all that stuff I got underneath the table here. I ain't gotta put none of that stuff back on. It's already on there, so that saves me a lot of time. So now what I gotta do is I'm gonna unbox this bad boy and then put that on that stand to get that one off of there, and then reassemble all of that. And once that's complete, then we can plug it back into the boat. So let's do some unboxing. All right, there she is, all her glory. Head's already torqued down. Rocker arms, push tubes, all that stuff. Even the timing chain with the alignment marks lined up, all done already. So that'd be really nice. All right, got the new engine put on the stand here. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and spin it over. We're gonna seal up the oil pan, and I believe I have to put the oil pump from the old engine onto this one too. So finally time for me to open up this box that should have every gasket, O-ring, and seal I need to put this together. Alright, it looks like we got some valve cover gaskets, intake manifold, and some RTV. Nice. Ooh, brand new front cover too. Very nice. Oh, there's my oil pump. Oil pan gasket. And that looks like a sensor hold down or something. Very cool. Okay, so in order to assemble this new oil pump, looks like you gotta pull this shaft off of here. This is the little Extendo 3000 whatever shaft. That way it reaches up to the distributor. Has a sleeve that sits in there. The kit comes with a brand new sleeve, so I'm going to pop that onto the new one and then reintroduce the Extendo shaft, and then we'll have to add the pickup tube for the oil into that hole there. Okay, so this pickup tube for the oil pump is a press fit into the oil pump itself there. They make a special tool that kind of goes around here and you can press it in. Of course, I don't have that. So what I've done is put it in a bench vise, and I got a 3/4 inch wrench that happens to fit perfectly around the tube, and it sits on this little shoulder here, and I'm tapping it in that way. One thing to remember too is that this is a clearance fit pickup tube. That means that if this is installed incorrectly, this pickup tube could hit the bottom of the oil pan. We don't want that to happen. So once I get this all pressed in here, we'll test fit it by putting a dab of grease on the pickup tube, putting the oil pan on, and see if it touches that grease. Alright, I got it just set on there without it bolting it down. I haven't pressed it in all the way yet. In case I do need to make a turning adjustment, it'll be easier if it's out slightly, because after this, it's not going to make a difference after I push it back in. So now I'm going to take a little dollop of grease here. Make sure it's kind of tall, I guess. And then we'll see what kind of clearance we have when we put the oil pan on here. I also don't have an oil pan gasket on here yet, so that could take up a little bit of space, a little bit of a gap as well. Okay. Alright, I do have some grease down here on the bottom, but I made that rather tall. So let's do it again. Just barely touches. I wonder if I can turn that a little bit there without bending it. There we go. That might be better. All right, now let's see if it touches. That's gonna be pretty good there. Now that I'm confident that the oil pan will not be hitting the pickup tube, I'm ready to assemble the gasket. Looks like it's twisted up a bit. Before I put the oil pan back on, I need to first put this front cover back on because there is a mating surface here where the oil pan sits on. So I'm going to set that in there and zip these bolts down before I drop the oil pan down on it. We'll put RTV on the edges here where the front cover gasket, or where the front cover mates with the block, and also on the back where the rear main seal mates with the block. It helps seal those seams up a little bit. So now I'm officially ready to drop this pan down in here. Bottom side, let's flip her over. Start on the top side here. Got it flipped over. I got the front cover all tightened down. The next step is to put the harmonic balancer back on here. Everywhere I've read said that to put some RTV in the keyway for these around the shaft, because you'll get a little bit of seepage coming from that woodruff key there. So it's always a good idea. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. And then also to put a little bit of oil around the seal as well. So that's what I'm doing. And then sliding this bad boy on. I got the harmonic balancer on and got the front crank pulley on. Once you get it beat on enough to get the center bolt on, then you can put the center bolt in here and rip it down, and it'll bring the harmonic balancer all the way seated into the engine there. I find it easier also if you put a little bit of lubrication on the bolt. That way it runs down a little bit smoother. To plop the intake manifold on here, the kit comes with these super sweet gaskets that have little indents to hold it in place, little placeholders on the back side of here and the back side of there on both sides. So it fits in there nicely, it's not going to move around. Then you put a liberal amount of RTV all along each end, and that's going to be the gasket surface for the intake manifold. So now I'm ready. Well, then don't forget, clean the gasket surfaces off the other side too on the intake manifold. Now I'm ready to plop this down in here and bolt it in. This engine builder gives you this little tech tips, which is pretty nice. So it shows a couple different engine configurations here. Ours is a V6, so I immediately go to the V6 Chevy. We know it's a Chevy engine. And you got two different types. You got a left-hand rotation and a right-hand rotation, and they have two different firing orders. Easiest way to tell, without even doing anything, is look on your intake manifold at the firing order there. 1, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. 1, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So we know ours is a left-hand rotation. If not, you look at the flywheel, pretending that a flywheel is on, and if it's left-hand rotation, that's your firing order. So, cool little sheet. This is the tensioner pulley or idler pulley, I should say. This part here goes to the longest part goes to the block right here, or actually it's technically the head. And this short one goes on the stud that mounts to the water pump, like so. Also got the fuel filter mounted up kind of loosely. This hose isn't tightened down yet, just in case I need to manipulate it for some reason. Alternator is kind of hanging there because I still need to figure out studs here. I think the power steering pump mounts on this side as well. Got the dipstick in. This is all tightened down because I'm going to want to put oil in this before I put it back inside the boat. Then on this back side of the carburetor mounts this bracket here for this relay, and the rest of the electronics all mount up. And then this bracket here, that's for the plug. That's for that guy. That mounts up there. I'm gonna get all this top side all done, then I'll move on to getting the spark plugs put in, run the plug wire, put the distributor in, run the plug wires after that. So I'm just trying to figure out how all the front mounting. Okay, so I'm getting ready to put the oil filter in here. I want to fill it up, screw it on, you know, put a little oil around the seal. That way I can prime the system, see if I get oil pressure. But in order to do that, I need this guy to screw it on the other one. So I need to pull this guy off. In order to get that off, there's a Allen inside there, an Allen hex or whatever. And it takes, let's see, what size is this? I don't remember what size I grabbed. It is a 10 millimeter. I figures everything's 10 millimeter. Break that free, and then put it on the block on this side. Alright, I'm all set up to check the oil pressure. Got the tool in here on the oil pump, in where the distributor goes. I got my oil pressure gauge hooked up. I took the sending unit out here, and now I'm going to crank this with the drill and see if I build oil pressure. Oh yeah, that's good oil pressure. Let's see, what did I get? 30? Let's see. 50 pounds? Nice. That's really good. I guess I should mention what kind of oil I'm using. This is a 4-stroke marine engine oil, 25W40 synthetic blend. This is a gallon container. I used one full one of these, so that's 4 quarts, and about this is the second one, so about a quart out of this one. So probably about 5 quarts, give or take. That's with filling up the filter and everything. So. All right, so down there where the oil pump's at, that oil pump has a kind of a slot in it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. And right now it's facing left, right, that way. The bottom of the distributor has a matching one that goes on the inside of it, and that's what turns it. And then these gears ride on the camshaft. So when you're installing your distributor, we typically like to aim the rotor where the number 1 cylinder is at, which in my case is over there. So you have to kind of turn that, you know, around until that slides in with the rotor facing the right way. So there we go. That's seated. That's point at number 1. And we'll have to adjust this kind of when we do the timing. So, but for now, we're going to put the lock fork, this guy, back on here just to kind of hold it in place during transport, and then we can loosen it back up once it's in the boat. Alright, something cool about my distributor cap is that each one of these are numbered. And so I have my firing order here on my intake manifold, 165432, and then each one of these are numbered, plus I labeled them before I pulled them off, and I didn't remove them off this cap, so I can put them in order, in firing order. Pretty cool. So plugs are in, wires are in, distributor's in, harness is mostly in, coil is mounted. I think I'm going to wait and put the intake or the exhaust manifold on once I have it hanging on the chain hoist. It just makes it easier for me to transport. I got a few more wires to hook up here, starter wires to hook up and tighten down, and that's pretty much it for the assembly here. I have the motor mount I'm gonna put on over there, 2 motor mounts I mean, and then I'll be good to transport. But yeah, almost fully ready here.